organelle. So this is the atrophy of the frog tail. As you can see that the tadpole used to have a tail, and then eventually the tail will diminish as it becomes frog, and it is the result, the work of the lysosome. So I talked about removing the web between finger and toes, so that our finger and toes can move freely and separately. We can take a look. When we are embryo, it looks like that. Okay, we have webbed finger. So syndactyly, this is called syndactyly when the digit they are fused. Syndactyly. So they are still as you can see here, the finger they merge because the apoptosis in the human embryo is not completed. So the finger they are still joined together, and then again syndactyly in the toes. 1 in 2,000 births. And then virus infection, as I mentioned, XPV, and also atrophy of the menopause. Now let's talk about vacuoles. Okay, vacuoles, whenever we talk about vacuole, usually most of people think about plants, because plants has a very large vacuole. We call it a central vacuole. But believe it or not, both plant cell and animal cell we have vacuoles. Only plants have this gigantic vacuoles. But both animal cell and plant cell we have small vacuoles. We both have small vacuoles freely floating in the cytoplasm. They are for storing water, pigment, or even toxin. And in let's say paramecium, this is a paramecium. Paramecium, they have something called a contractile vacuole. Contractile vacuole looks like a star shape. It looks like a star shape. When the contractile vacuole is full, it looks like a star. And then you will contract, the vacuole will contract to get rid of the water, so that it looks like a thin star. After it is empty, it looks like this thin star, and then after it is empty, then you start to collect water again. So the whole purpose of this contractile vacuole in paramecium is that because paramecium they live in water, fresh water. So fresh water, they are hypotonic to the cytoplasm of the paramecium. So water continuously goes into the cytoplasm of the paramecium. And contractile vacuole is the one that collects those excess water, and they will keep on squeezing or emptying the excess water to outside of the cell, so that contractile vacuoles can prevent the paramecium from absorbing too much water and then burst. If it bursts, then of course it will kill the paramecium. So the contractile vacuole is the internal mechanism for the paramecium to maintain homeostasis. So we have lysosome, now we have peroxisome. Peroxisome is very similar to lysosome because they also contain enzymes. And the enzyme, they are produced in the free ribosome. So they help to, the peroxisome also help to detox alcohol in the liver, breaking down fat. And they also produce hydrogen peroxide, and then the enzyme catalase breaks down hydrogen peroxide into non-toxic water. So the peroxisome, they also help to break down hydrogen peroxide because they also contain catalase to break down hydrogen peroxide into water. So after peroxisome, we'll talk about chloroplasts and mitochondria. Chloroplast is for photosynthesis. You can only find chloroplast in the plant cell. You can find chloroplast in the plant. You can find central vacuole. Central vacuole. You can find central vacuole also in the plant, and you can find cell wall in the plant only, in the plant cell only. So these three structures, cell wall, central vacuole, and chloroplast, these three you can find it in the plant only. So chloroplasts and mitochondria, they are very important. Okay, as you can see that we put these arrows like this in the pictures because photosynthesis in the chloroplast and cellular respiration in mitochondria, they are the exact opposite. So in photosynthesis, we take the plants take carbon dioxide and water and sunlight to make carbohydrate like glucose and carbon and oxygen. And then mitochondria take the glucose and oxygen from photosynthesis and then convert it into carbon dioxide, water, and ATP. ATP is the energy that we use in all living organisms. So we use ATP in both human and plant. So mitochondria, you can find mitochondria in both human and plant, in both animal and plant. But you can find chloroplasts only in plant. So sites of photosynthesis. So chloroplast is where we make we do photosynthesis. The plant do it. Is chloroplast is also a double membrane structure similar to nucleus, double membrane. It has stroma and grana. What is stroma? What is grana? Stroma is the fluid inside the inside chloroplast. Stroma is in the fluid inside the chloroplast. Grana, they are the stacks of the poker chips. I call it stack of poker chips. It's one stack of poker chips, and then each poker chips we call it thylakoid. So thylakoid is each poker chips, and then grana, they are the stacks of poker chips. And then chloroplast contains their own DNA. They have their own ribosome. I told you that ribosome is 70S, in case you forget. 70S. And they also have their own enzyme. Because of these three reasons, the DNA in the chloroplast is different from the DNA from the plant. Then scientists propose that okay, the chloroplasts, they are basically protists or prokaryotic cell originated outside of the plant, but they got incorporated into the plant. As I said, it's a symbiotic mutualism, symbiotic relationship. Again, we want to emphasize chloroplast has two membranes. Why? Because the outer membrane, scientists believe that it belongs to the plant. So when the chloroplast, as the prokaryotic, as a protist, when it gets incorporated, the cell membrane of the original chloroplast protist become the inner membrane, And then the cell membrane of the plant becomes the outer membrane. That's why it has two membranes. And you have the disc. As I told you, the disc is like the poker chips. Each poker chip we call it thylakoid. And then a stack of a poker chip we call it granule. If you have multiple, you only have one stack of a poker chip or one stack of thylakoid, we call it granum. If you have multiple stacks of the poker chips or multiple stacks of the thylakoid, we call it grana. So grana is a plural, granum is the singular. Fluid surrounding the disc containing enzyme called stroma. See, I told you a stroma is the fluid inside the chloroplast. And the ribosome in the chloroplast is 70S. You have approximately 50 chloroplasts per plant cell. They divide like chloroplasts can undergo mitosis and they divide like prokaryotic cells. So they undergo mitosis. It's like an asexual reproduction for the chloroplast. So this is what I told you. Photosynthesis and cellular respiration, they are exact opposite. Photosynthesis uses the solar energy. Okay, let me use different color so that you know the relationship. We'll use the solar energy, and then you take carbon dioxide and water to form carbohydrate. See, carbohydrate meaning that you have carbon dioxide and water together, carbohydrate, and then you make oxygen. So your plant, what does plant do? Plant will absorb sunlight, and you also absorb carbon dioxide and water. That's why we need to water our plant. And then our plant will make carbohydrate like glucose, and then you also release oxygen, which is a good thing. But in all animal cells, we will take carbohydrate. This is something that we eat. We eat sugar. We eat plant. We eat animal, because the plant and animal, they have a carbohydrate. And then we breathe in oxygen, and then we breathe out carbon dioxide. And we also make water. We call this water metabolic water. This water is not the water that we drink. This water is, we make it when we are breaking down the high carbohydrate. When we break down carbohydrate, then we will make water. We will make metabolic water. And then we will have, we'll make energy. The whole purpose of cellular respiration is to make energy. Energy, we call it ATP, adenosine triphosphate. As you still remember, I hope you still remember, ATP is a form of nucleic acid.